you didn't know that. That's actually really funny. So
I never heard that.
Okay, so in the wellness space, health and wellness space, you have a lot of people saying that detox is BS. That you don't. Okay.
I can't even take that sentence seriously.
Okay. So the argument is, in large part, that our body has natural detox organs. You don't need to try to force your body to detox with X, Y, or Z because your body just naturally does it. And then the further argument is that some of these detox methods could be harmful.
Okay, well, I get behind the fact that we have detox organs because, yes, we do. And detox pathways, yes, we do. And do they work? Yes, they do. It's like saying I have a brain, but let's not bother learning anything because I've already got a brain.
That's actually a really amazing analogy. I love that. So essentially what you're saying is, yes, we do have detox organs, and let's help them do what they need to do.
Right? Because if your toxins, imagine your trash doesn't get collected by the council. Right? You put your bins out, you put your recycling out, you put your waste out, whatever it is, right? And then they don't come for 1 week. And you're like, oh, that's grim. Well, I'm not bringing it back in the house. It can stay out there. But then the rest of the week, your bins are filling up inside. You're like, well, I'm going to take them out, but there's no room because those ones weren't taken. So I guess they'll go and we'll put it all out because they'll come this week. And then they don't come this week. And now you've got a real problem because now you're like, well, what's going on? How come the trash is piling up? So now the trash starts piling up inside as well because you're like, well, there's no real room in the bins outside and I don't have any more bins. So, that's a bit grim. And then it starts to smell and then it's a month and it's still... You would not be happy. Do you want that happening inside you? Decay, putrefaction, rot, mold, degradation, slime.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there.
I just say a few more grim words. Yeah.
I think we have the picture. Yeah, I mean, my guess is, I think that this actually comes from a pretty good place in that it comes from a good heart, but it's the wrong message because there are a lot of people, again, in this kind of space.
There's a tone of voice.
Well, I'm like thinking about media who talk about things like the most classic examples, like the celery juice cleanse or like the cabbage soup diet. And like, that's not what we're talking about. And we talk about this more like in our podcast that we released on Monday. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. And we like obviously go way into depth. And this whole month of July in Rejuvenate and our membership is solely focused on this. So we talk about that more, but we're saying support your body's natural detox pathways. The problem is, in my mind, it's twofold. The problem is most people aren't living a lifestyle that supports their detox pathways. For example, movement is really important for GI, which is your largest detox pathway. Or not your largest, your like what does the most detox?
Most heavy duty.
Your sweating, right? Your skin, which breathing, your lymph, like all these different detox pathways. Like, how many people are moving enough? Well, we know it's not nearly enough, like by far and away. So we're not living a lifestyle, and that's just one classic example. We're not living a lifestyle that supports detox pathways. Most people don't sleep enough. Guess what? That's important for detox. So that's one aspect. And then the second aspect is you can't ignore the fact that post-World War, we have so many chemicals and toxins in our environment that we didn't have a few hundred years ago. Like that's...
the World War was only like 70 years ago.
Yeah, well, in the scheme... What did I say? In hundreds? Okay, 100 years ago.
100, yeah.
100 years ago. But also hundreds of years ago, or thousands, or millions, right? So it's relatively new is the point. So it's happened so quickly, and the shift in our lifestyle has also dramatically changed in the last hundreds of years. So it's all, our physiology is not meant to take on these kinds of mass amounts of toxins.
Correct.
And our detox pathways are overloaded, plus this new lifestyle that we're living is also not conducive to it. So it's just like, it's a shit show, is what I'm saying. So this idea that detox is we don't need to detox, don't detox. Please don't do like the celery juice cleanses thinking that you're like cleansing your system out, right? Like that's not, we're taking a much bigger approach here.
Yeah, right.
So this idea was probably founded in something like that, but the idea that you actually don't need to detox, like it's somewhere in the middle or just completely off to the side is what the truth is.
So, okay, so what are they saying? You don't need to detox at all, or you do, but drink celery juice because that's the answer?
No, it's like you have the two camps. You have the camps of like, do all the detox in the celery juice, and then the people saying that's stupid. Your body naturally detoxes. Don't do that. And we're saying like, well, that is stupid, but also your body does need to detox, so help it.
Yeah. Okay. So if people were going to do a detox, I know what my answers would be, but if people would have, imagine you've never done any detoxing deliberately before. Obviously you're doing detoxing because your body's going to be doing it, right? Everyone's gone to the bathroom. So if you've never deliberately tried to assist a detox for yourself, what are 3 things that you could do, right, that are not like wacky or revolting, but just I could literally do that after we have this conversation?
Well, I automatically go to the things that have multiple benefits and that,
yay, me too.
right, and that are simple. So getting at least 7 hours of sleep. I said simple, not easy. Getting at least 7 hours of sleep, massively powerful. Would be 1.
Okay.
Drinking enough water. So simple and so important. Yes, there it is.
That was not staged, by the way.
I have my tea, which does count towards your hydration, and my water. Basically, everything counts towards your hydration, which is like actually a whole nother controversial topic.
That is a thing. Okay, number 3 then.
Number 3. Oh, there's so many.
I didn't say you have to be the best 3, just 3.
I mean, exercise.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
Oh, but there's so many. How do you pick 3? Those aren't necessarily my top 3. Those are the 3 that came to mind. There's so many.
3 more then. I'm feeling generous. Like, just
Okay, wait, now your turn. What about for pets?
Okay, so it doesn't depend. Activated charcoal is really good because it will pull, it's a binder, and it's good, so it's going to pull out stuff that's tucked away in the nooks and crannies. If your pet is overweight, manage that because that will massively reduce the toxins in their body.
Ooh, but when you're doing that, be mindful that it does release toxins because we do store.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fat tissues.
Yeah,
that's why some of those like really dramatic weight loss. I mean, I don't think they have like really intense weight loss clinics for pets. Maybe they do, but they definitely do for humans. And that's like one of the big things is like you have to watch for all of these toxins and fat soluble vitamins suddenly being released into the body.
Yeah, agreed. Like, yeah, I mean, you don't do a dramatic off the cliff weight loss thing.
So is that why you recommend weight loss? Because the toxins are being stored in fat?
Yeah. And not only that, but you're getting a buildup of, inflammatory markers and things that's going to cause a continual cascade, right? So it's going to, okay, well, this is going to have a fair bit of bang for your buck, because you're not only going to get healthier as a result of getting rid of the excess weight, your joints are going to get stronger, your cardiovascular is going to improve, a bunch of other things, but you're also going to get out the toxins that are being, it's like wearing a backpack full of slime. Like, why would you do that? Just drop the backpack.
Okay, so pets need to do activated charcoal, be at a healthy body weight.
Yeah, and eat real food. I mean, again, there's so many, like filter their water, even better, structure their water. Right?
Adding broccoli and cruciferous vegetables. Like, there's just so many things that cross the species line. Like 100%. Everything I said applies to pets and everything you said applies to human. And it's just, it's the same. Like, we have the same detoxification pathways. Now, we look a little different and there are some differences in functioning, but at a cellular level, like, it's kind of all the same, which is the beauty of it. And that's what makes it fun too, right? Because like, so broccoli sprouts, if you don't know this, you guys, those of you who know, I'm crazy about broccoli sprouts. Broccoli sprouts, I grow them on my countertop, and they're just packed full of something called sulforaphane, which is anti-cancer and is really supportive of detoxification. It helps your body excrete a lot of toxins. And you can grow them on your countertop. You don't need any soil. You just grow them in a glass jar. And you can put them on literally anything and everything. They're super tasty. And then you can also put them in your dog's bowl.
Right. Sharing.
Done.
Sharing.
Yeah. Like, how easy is that? You get filters for your water and for your pet's water. Like, yeah. And then, of course, the second component is try to reduce the toxins in your home, which we, of course, talk more about in the podcast, so won't repeat ourselves too much here. But it's the same. If you guys are living in the same home, you're both benefiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So any investment you make towards a cleaner home or towards a healthier lifestyle is going to have a higher return on investment, because it's going to affect everybody in the family. No matter how many people are in the house, they're all going to benefit. No matter how many pets are in the house, they're all going to benefit. So if there's 5 of you, right, the cost of whatever that thing is that you just invested in is divided by 5, and so you get huge benefit from it. There's no reason not to do it, and some of these things are free anyway. So yeah. In fact, if you're losing weight, you're probably going to save money. So.
Potentially. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you feed your pet based on body weight, right?
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So I guess what are we saying? We're saying that be careful what you hear in the media, because it's usually there's some kind of nugget of truth that's just been completely morphed into something not true.
Right. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they're going to sell papers or get people watching the show or whatever it is. Right. So there's going to be something that's made sensational to get your attention so that you go and watch, and then they get what they need. Right. Which is an audience. So, but yeah, you've got to have a little bit of discernment to know when they're citing a paper. Okay. Who wrote the paper? Was it peer reviewed? Who sponsored or paid for the research? Was it the dog food company that paid for it, or was it independent researchers? Did they do a placebo test? Was it blind studied? What? Right? So you can just say, oh yeah, according to a recent paper that came out, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, well, that convinces a large part of the population right there and then, because they go, oh, science, that must be true then, without analyzing any of what that actually means. So you want to go and find out what is that paper that they cited, then take a look at where that, in the acknowledgements and credits, like who funded the study and how many years did it run and all those other things. But I mean, most of you guys probably don't want to do that, right? But unfortunately, the media no longer feels like they have a duty of responsibility to bring to you accuracy, because they're just looking for the sensation. So sometimes there's truth, sometimes it's just selling newspapers.
So there was a really good example of this recently, because I think that sometimes it doesn't come from sometimes I think there is very much like not an evil man behind the curtain, but you know what I mean? Like there is they're trying to guide you somewhere. They're trying to manipulate something to get something out of it. And then sometimes I think it's just They don't know. And this happens a lot with research papers. Even if the research study was well designed and well done, then the media will come in and take a sentence or two, take a snippet. This is what happened with the butter is back. And it's like, that's just not even like what the paper was talking about. I won't name names. There's a very popular book in the nutrition space that the author does this. And it's just the whole book is based on non-facts, but there's a bunch of studies quoted, and what he's saying doesn't actually line up with what the studies are talking about. So anyway, that wasn't the example I was going to give. There's so many examples. So the most recent example that I was thinking of is this whole thing in the media lately with the erythritol. Have you heard about this?
No.
The sugar alcohol that's been linked to like heart disease and things.
Okay.
So there was this big thing that came out, I think it was a couple of months ago. They're like, oh my gosh, everyone stop eating erythritol. It's like a sugar replacement, it's a sugar alcohol. And we found that if you have higher levels in your blood, that you're more likely to have X, Y, and Z conditions. Great, that's really interesting. Let's avoid it. But wait, hold on. In the study, they didn't actually look at how much erythritol people ate. They looked at erythritol in their blood, and your body actually produces its own erythritol. So higher levels doesn't mean they were eating more, which doesn't mean that eating more leads to heart disease. And yet that has been repeated by so many health professionals. And it's not because that health professional is trying to deceive you. They heard this, maybe they even read the study, and yet they didn't connect those dots. They didn't know that your body makes its own. They didn't realize that they didn't measure how much people ate. So there's just, it's so convoluted sometimes.
Yeah, it's one thing to have a study, but there's another thing to have correct interpretation of the data.
Yes.
And enough scaffolding information to be able to put that into a context. Because if you get a piece of isolated information, how do you know what to mark that against? How do you know where the benchmark is on that? Where does it sit in the broader picture? And this is a case in point where they didn't realize that the body is producing its own, right? So now is that test that they're doing actually the best way of checking that marker or finding out that data or interpreting that information or whatever? So it is a minefield, right? So
it is.
People throw their hands up and say, I'll just eat pizza and whatever then because I like it. At least I like it, and then I'm happy and I don't care, But I mean, that's not a solution either, realistically.
But this is where it really comes back to fundamentals. We know at the end of the day that getting good sleep and exercising and, eating lots of colorful plants, we know all of those things are good. There's very little controversy. There is some controversy, but no one takes that seriously, hopefully. But everyone knows that those are foundational things that are good for you. Stay hydrated, right? These are foundational things, but people get really caught in the nitty-gritty, and I totally understand why. I definitely get it. But whether or not those little, it's the minutia that people get caught in, which is really important because I do think that these things are relevant to know and understand. But the problem is that we're jumping. We're not even doing the foundationals. And then we're but I don't know if I should eat erythritol, so I guess I'm just going to eat pizza. And I know that's a simplification, but that kind of, like you said, it's literally called the what the hell effect, right?
Right.
Oh, what the hell? I get
it's all too hard. I'll just forget about any of it.
But in reality, the foundation will get you so far.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it will. So far.
When I don't know if I ever told you this, when I originally started my private practice, as far as being a dietitian, is when I was a health coach. Uh-huh. And I was working with a business coach actually, because I was how do I kind of do these things? I have no idea what I'm doing. But I know I want to coach people on living a healthy lifestyle. And she was like, okay, what's your niche? Who are you speaking to? And I was like, yeah, but like this is literally relevant to everyone. And she's like, yeah, I know, but like you have to like pick someone to speak to. And I'm like, yeah, but like everyone. And like we had this like back and forth, and I literally could not like wrap my head around. I'm like, how am I supposed to pick one group of people when this is relevant for every single human being?
Well, I can identify with that a little bit. So I'm just like, carnivores. There's a lot of them. And I deliberately set out to find modalities of healing and restoration and regeneration and longevity and everything that would be applicable for every single one of them, because I was so sick of the fact that all of the wild ones were relegated to having cat and dog medicine, which isn't species appropriate for them. So I was like, let's find something that is species appropriate for all of you. And so I did, and I was like, amazing, that's exactly what I wanted.
And then people want to put you back in a little box.
Right. I was like, no. And in fact, it goes beyond carnivores. It goes to, herbivores and primates and, and humans, right? So it's like, yeah, the foundations really, really, really are properly foundational.
And I think we would both argue that detoxification is one of those foundations. And that's why it's one of our 7 pillars. But it overlaps so much with nutrition, with sleep, with movement, which are all of the other pillars. So they go hand in hand. And then, of course, you can add in these other things like broccoli sprouts or activated charcoal, right, to really enhance it, detoxifying your environment, all of those things. So check out the mini podcast. And if you're in Rejuvenate or you're interested in being in Rejuvenate, go to joinrejuve.com, joinrejuv, joinrejuve.com. And we have a whole masterclass on this. We have the podcast, we have a Q&A session, we have a whole like ebook for detoxing your home. Like we have so much around this because it really is so foundational. And hopefully it will help you cut through that BS and figure out what does it actually mean to support your detox pathways. So yeah, check out a mini podcast. That's it. All right. Until next time.